Hey, everybody, welcome to The Weekday. This is officially episode 12 of The Weekday. We got 3 full months of podcast deliciousness coming right into your ears, right into your YouTube channels, right into your social media feeds from Andy.
Mike.
See how we did that there? We're pros. We're 12 episodes in and we're
Super pros.
Hey, it's awesome to have you again along with us. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the nice ones we've been getting as well. Particularly the ones that have said, hey, you guys are doing great, and thumbs up and things.
Have we been getting bad ones?
I delete them.
Oh, are you serious? Have we gotten bad ones?
We had one bad one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I can't say it was part of a troll thing that was happening a couple of weeks.
Real.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
even
a real
the troll
one.
though. You can't say it. You can't say it at all.
No. It was arguing about the existence of God, and then there was a couple of like words that started with the letter after E and
before G.
Before G, right smack dab in the middle there. It was 4 letters. For those of you playing at home, we can play Hangman if you want.
I think we need to move on.
Okay, cool. Anyway, a couple of weeks, about a month ago now, we had a very large troll attack on our YouTube channel, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself personally. I like fending off the trolls. I feel like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and I was just saying, "You shall not pass" into my YouTube channel here.
You're our first and last line of defense.
Hey, I mean, Jesus is in there too, but like, Jesus sent me to.
Jesus doesn't have your YouTube password.
He lives in my soul. So don't you know the song? Like,
okay.
Because
I
he
guess,
lives.
Sure. That's fine. Whatever.
So he knows. He knows the things I know.
Right.
Hey,
cool.
Speaking of Jesus, man, I'm segues.
Yeah, it's a good segue.
If you've followed the last couple of episodes, you know
we're killing the segue game.
I've been working on the segues. So is this guy over here.
No, that's sorry. Keep going.
That's a segue game.
I don't know.
Anyway,
disappointed.
A lot of times in the Weekday, we talk about just random kind of church things. We here at the Weekday, we've kind of narrowed down our focus to everything that happens in church life.
Super narrow.
Yeah. I mean, kind of the behind the scenes of church and church guys, and that's what we do. We've been doing this for a long time. But today in particular, we kind of wanted to bring something a little more light, encouraging, maybe.
Encouraging.
I think
that's good.
Encouraging is a good word. We had a couple of scripture passages and a couple of little stories that we wanted to bring to you today, kind of in the midst of everything that's going on. And I opened up, and I don't know that you even know this, Monday morning at about 9:00, I went into the online campus Facebook group.
Okay.
And for whatever reason,
I saw you do something.
Yeah. You didn't watch it?
I watched some of it. It's fine.
It's okay.
I'll go back and watch it.
I need to get my views up.
Fine.
Yeah, I need to get my engagement content up. But I really felt pulled on that Monday morning to kind of pray with the online campus. I used to pray pretty much every morning with our entire Facebook crew, and then that kind of fell off as COVID kind of wore on, and we started doing a whole lot of other stuff. But really felt led to pray because there's this weird sense of turmoil that keeps bubbling up to the surface. And, obviously election year here in the United States, in the Tampa Bay area, things are open, but things are not super open right now. Like there's kind of a weird footing that we're holding, like we're physically regathering here at church and on and on and on. Anyway, it felt like we needed to bring a little bit of stability. And so today we wanted to bring a little bit of stability to you at your house. So Mike actually had, for our staff meeting this morning, Mike, would you share what you shared with us in our staff meeting?
I shall. Yes, I shall.
You shall and you shall not.
So been doing the Bible in a year plan.
Same.
And it's more like, it more works out to be sort of like a Bible in a year and a half for me.
Mike's on the 5-year plan.
No, not that much. But partially because I do like to take my time.
Sure.
But then also partially the only time I can really read.
Hold on. You're in the Bible in a year plan, and you're on Jeremiah 29. I'm in the Bible in a year plan, and I'm only on Jeremiah 26.
When did you start? In January?
Yep. No, in March.
I don't know when I started.
Okay.
Because
I go chronologically with the app, though.
Yeah, I read whatever it tells me to read.
Yeah.
And then I do
I
that
am 2 days behind. So, okay, maybe that's it. I am 2 days off of the pace right
Andy,
now.
I started more than a year ago is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Or I'm slower.
Okay.
It's taken me a while.
I get it.
We didn't start at the same time.
Okay, no, keep rattling away. I'm going to pull this up. You go ahead.
I was trying to be real vulnerable, trying to be vulnerable.
I see it.
So I was reading today in Jeremiah 29. And so a lot of people know Jeremiah.
That's for me tomorrow.
Look at that. Wow, that's a lot more. Oh, see, I'm not doing the Bible in a year. I'm doing the Old Testament in a year.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So
Wow, that's cool how
clarification.
that lined up.
I mean, I
though.
did the New Testament in a year too, but I'm already done with that. So I don't know how that happened. Even though I started both at the same time. This is a lot of talk about one certain thing. Here we go. So Jeremiah 29. So a lot of people know Jeremiah 29:11 to be, the famous passage. I know the plans I have for you, all that kind of stuff. And so that's not what I want to read. I want to read before that. And it just says, "This is what the Lord of heaven's armies, the God of Israel, says to all the captives he has exiled to Babylon from Jerusalem. Build homes and plan to stay. Plant gardens and eat the food they produce. Marry and have children. Then find spouses for them so that you may have many grandchildren. Multiply. Do not dwindle away." And I didn't read this part in staff meeting today, but just says, "And work for the peace and prosperity of the city where I sent you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, for its welfare will determine your welfare." And so for those of you that don't know kind of where we're at in the Bible with Jeremiah is coming in as a prophet, somebody, and nobody liked the prophets in Old Testament times.
Yeah.
They all hated them because most of the time they didn't bring good news.
Yeah.
It was always, and that's not true. I mean, there's some good news to a lot of this stuff, but a lot of the time they were bringing in warnings from God to say like, hey, please stop doing this idol worshiping. Please stop doing these things. Not because like we want to like slap you on the wrist, but like if you do, like the natural consequences are not going to be great. Or the consequences of you breaking the covenant that you have made with God is not going to be great.
Right.
I promise you. Please stop doing this. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago where like I'm trying to go through and more and like really uncover what the character of God is in these kind of like, it's tough passages. Like these are tough books of the Bible to read. And it feels like God is bipolar, which we talked about. It really feels like God is angry.
Go back and listen. I'll link that in the notes below. We were actually talking about Isaiah right before Jeremiah.
Right, yeah. But what God is actually like very merciful and all this stuff. He's basically just saying like, if you just turn around once and like, I will show you the way to go and all this stuff will go away, like this stuff, because what God ended up doing is sort of like what you're just talking about before this. He sort of removes his hand from Israel and allows these other nations to come and take them over. And so like, that's what's about to happen. So in Jeremiah, like the people of Israel, not doing great things. And Jeremiah is saying, please stop. And then, then they get led into exile. And so I think they're actually in exile here. Yeah. So this is post-exile. So this is when the king or Babylon came in and took them over. And instead of just taking them over, actually led them away from the city. And as you're reading through, like people like loved Israel. And you think, like people love Texas. The people are from like the Israelites loved Israel and, thought that was the place that God was, and which,
sorry to all those of you that are listening in Texas.
Well, that's fine. Love Texas, whatever.
Okay.
But you didn't love Texas as much as the Israelites loved Israel. Okay.
You won't bet?
Yeah. And so they actually took them away from their city and like just like they were literally being removed from the presence of God. Like that's what it felt like to them. And so God, it does this really cool thing. And instead of saying like, hey, when you're there, you need to fight, you need to be angry. You need to be upset. He literally gives them the same commandment that he gives Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. He says, be fruitful, multiply, work with what you have, like do this work of creation. And like, because like the city's welfare is your welfare, the good things that happen, the good things that you help make happen are good things in your life, regardless of wherever you are. So I had this like revelation and this moment of clarity, which doesn't happen very much when I read the Bible, because a lot of the times I'm having to fight, my two kids, my two boys waking up way too early and me having to send them to the playroom and no screens at this time or whatever. And so like, I really get like 6 or 7 minutes to like actually focus in on what the Bible is saying. And what I heard was, and what I saw was that God's commandments are not directly tied to the place you're in. And so like, He said the same thing in the Garden of Eden. He said the same thing while they were like literally the worst thing that they could think of, which was being exiled from the place that they absolutely loved, the place that they thought God's presence was. And so, I've been thinking a lot about just the pandemic or whatever, especially when we weren't meeting together physically. It felt like we were worshiping in exile. It felt like we had been removed from what we knew, where we knew God's presence was.
Yeah.
And I just think in this moment, wherever you are, the listener, watcher, whoever you are, just know that God's command to you is not to fight through this. That's not true. Not to fight, but it's not to like respond in anger and in violence or, I don't know. It's not to be upset in this moment. It's to take this moment, whatever this moment is, and be fruitful and multiply and do not dwindle away, grow and thrive in this moment. Like God has given us everything that we need to do that through the word, through the community, through our friends, our family, through our struggle. It's an opportunity for us to prosper and to grow. And, that, whether it's your family, whether it's in your job, whether it's in
online learning.
Yeah, the online learning, the church community. I know that it looks different than it used to look. And I mean, I don't know when it's ever going to get back to the way that it used to be before March 17th or whatever, March 14th. But like, that's okay. Like we are in a moment now that God has called us to thrive and to prosper in the sense that like we can actually invest what we have in this time for the good of the world around us and continue to bring heaven to earth.
And you're in a place now, not only here at this church, everybody, we are in a place now where yes, the toothpaste is out of the tube and you can't put it back in, but God has organized us in such a way that we can be flexible and we can create and we can be molded. The beauty of the human brain, the beauty of the human psyche is that we are so adaptable and we learn how to live around all of our things. It's very funny, real quick. I just had a bunch of allergy testing done, and apparently I'm allergic to everything. Every environmental thing ever. They did 40 things on my back, 40 pricks.
It was awesome. You looked
40 pricks on my back. Yeah, and
they had like Sharpie markers.
It was awful. Yeah. And they inject you with these little prick things. And anyway, I was allergic to all 40 of them, which is super. But what the doctor
Why
said
can't you
was
sleep well at night?
Yeah, the doctor said like, hey, you're not sleeping because you've got stuff dripping down. But anyway, the one of the most amazing things that the doctor said that didn't really hit me until now was he said, you as a human, you have just gotten used to feeling bad.
Yeah.
Like your body gets used
crazy?
to feeling bad and you operate around it.
Yep.
It's the same thing with the Supersize Me guy who ate McDonald's for 30 days. At the end of 30 days, his body got used to eating bad food. It's the same thing in reverse here. You get used to the circumstances you're in.
Yeah.
It's like so countercultural to read this prophecy from God to Jeremiah and Jeremiah telling the people, because you're right. Like Israel was their place, man. And God is telling them, no. I've created you to be moldable and flexible. And in COVID, like I've created you to be moldable and flexible. Does it mean it's gonna be painful or painless? No way.
Yeah.
Like it's super painful.
Well, and it's funny because we were talking in staff meeting about like how inflexible I am. And there's, the sit and reach as a kid in elementary school was like my worst fear. And what's funny is that you could opt out of them every year because they did like a couple other things that you could like opt out of, but you wouldn't be in running for the presidential fitness award or whatever. And so like
have that plaque.
my competitive, which I never got. I could do everything else. I could run the mile in whatever time. I could do the pull-ups, the push-ups, the sit-ups, all that kind of stuff. I could not do the sit and reach because I'm so inflexible. But yeah, God has made us flexible. Like life I feel like in its definition is flexible because I was thinking about this after we talked about it. Because like, do you want to know what gets hard and stiff? Like dead things. Dead things get like
rigor mortis.
Nasty. Yeah, like that's the thing that takes over. It just when there's no life, there's no movement.
It's the heart of stone.
Yeah, and God has created in us a heart of flesh to be tender and soft and like to be open and humble and all that kind of stuff. And like that's where we see the connection of the kingdom of earth or the kingdom of heaven coming to earth through how we're reacting to our circumstances and the things that are around us.
I love that. It's funny actually, the passage that I had brought up, and I didn't realize it till now actually. Well, it's from Psalm 34, and I'm going to read it real quick, and then you'll understand why. In Psalm 34, verse 1, David writes to God, but really to the people around him, to the congregation that has gathered around him, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth.
Yeah.
So, quick little backstory. I used to own a gym. My wife and I, we had a gym, but it was kind of a high intensity interval CrossFit type gym. We're allowed to say CrossFit. No, that's fine.
CrossFit.
CrossFit. Yes.
The cross.
Oh, Jesus fit. Anyway, it was a faith-based gym as well. And so we'd open every class with a 5 to 7 minute Devo, usually with just a kind of a word of scripture and then some prayer. And then we'd work out and then we'd end with prayer. It was super cool, super cool community. Gym is still existing for now, even through COVID, which is totally awesome. Good job, Trinity Fitness. But I would open pretty much every class with a Devo. And this was one of my old Devos that I just was kind of scanning through and I loved it because, again, it matches up so perfectly. So the where I was going with all of the I will bless the Lord continually was we used to play a game. Mike and I don't know if Mel ever played it, but it was at this restaurant when we first moved to Florida. It's called The Cooker. Do you remember The Cooker?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
So
rest in peace.
Yeah, because The Cooker was like half a mile from our house.
Yeah.
And when we first moved down into the Florida area from Michigan, I was 12. Mike was 8, 7?
7 or 8, yeah.
Ish. And so we went there quite frequently. I say quite frequently, probably once every 2 weeks, but it seemed like once every week. While we were getting settled and, all this other stuff, while Dad was kind of traveling still and Mom was getting stuff oriented and yada, yada, yada. So we would go and they served these big yeast rolls. You know the ones I'm talking about? Like
oh gosh, I don't remember any of this. This is wonderful.
So,
I remember going, but I don't remember.
Remember the cups that we got to?
I remember the cups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cooker was great.
Yeah.
The Cooker ended up turning into the Ale House, which ended up turning into the first church, actually, that I ever led worship at.
This is crazy.
Holy stink. I didn't have, there's the lines.
Yeah.
Anyway, they served those big yeast rolls. And what Mike and I would do was we'd get them immediately. We'd take the yeast rolls. We'd scoop out the middle of them and make these like dough balls.
Okay.
Kind of like the dough balls you get at Jimmy John's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we'd put them in our mouth. And then we'd try to talk.
I don't remember this at all.
And Mom would give us that look. You know the look I'm talking about.
Do.
The like, you either swallow that thing whole or spit it out, or I'm going to rip your tongue out of your mouth type thing. But it was the talking. It was always like, and then we try to understand each other. And I thought it was hilarious.
That's so funny.
But the idea that we couldn't actually get words out because we had that gigantic whatever in our mouth. And part of what Mike was just talking about with Jeremiah 29, part of us being flexible and us being creative and us being moldable a little bit is taking that first step. And that first step for, I think, a lot of us is to stop complaining, get that kind of gigantic mass of whatever is in your mouth. And in our case, it was a yeast roll. But in other cases, it's complaining. It's that insidious little backbiting. It's the even just kind of cursing a little bit, just little backbiting comments, things that just detract others around you. It's getting that, removing that from your mouth and replacing it with praise, continual praise. Instead of, I've been reading a book all about misbeliefs and the misbeliefs we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And one of the most gigantic misbeliefs we tell ourselves is that we wake up in the morning and the first thing we say is, I don't know how I'm going to get through this day, or I'm going to have a bad day, or today it's going to rain and that's going to be off. There's some sort of negative comment towards yourself, which then guides the rest of your day. Christian or not, it guides the rest of your day. And for us as Christians, we're taught to wake up with praise on our lips, with song and singing coming out of us. At the end of Ephesians, Paul tells us that we need to speak to each other in hymns and songs and spiritual things to each other, but that also means to ourselves too. And so I love that psalm. Like I take that psalm to heart now. That's why Mike and I wake up and as much as possible, we try to read scripture in the morning. It allows us to be moldable and flexible and a little more creative in what we do. Do we have bad days? Yeah.
Never.
Do we have bad days? Yeah.
I can't think of one.
Do we have bad days?
Are you going to keep doing this until I say yes?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay, cool. That third time's a charm. Yes, we have bad days. You have bad days. Everybody at this church is going to have a bad day. You might have a bad week, a bad season, a bad year. COVID might have been the worst thing that has happened to you and your family. It might have been
rightfully so.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Businesses are being destroyed. People are getting sick.
Yeah.
People are dying.
Yeah, losing their lives.
And outside of just, that huge fact, there's that struggle that we all find ourselves in right now. And I'm telling you, take that mass of whatever is in your mouth and replace it with praise, and things immediately start to shift a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I find myself at night, especially when things get rough, if I can find something to say thank you for to God, like it really does shift your perspective.
Yeah.
And I can think very specifically about a time when we didn't have anything. So I got done with the band with Bellarive, and it was before I really started working here. I had no job. And or it was, we were kind of on tour with Bellarive, but I was on my way out, and we were living in Kristen's parents' house. And we had no real money. But it was me, Kristen, and Caleb. And I remember rocking Caleb at night and just thinking I have this. God, thank you for this. And I can even right now, I can feel a genuine, a shift happened that night, even if it was a slight one, but it's I at least have this.
Yeah.
And we all have this, whatever this is, God is a merciful God. He is abounding in compassion, slow to anger, or abounding in love, I guess, is compassionate, slow to anger. He's all of those things for sure. We all have some sort of experience like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to know your experiences throughout COVID. We want to know kind of the things that you're praising. We want to know the ways that you've been having to be creative and moldable and flexible. We want to know all that. We want to share stories.
How you've been adapting.
Yeah, we love hearing stories from you. So drop them in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you are listening to this in audio form, thank you again on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Email us at theweekday@bayhope.com or hit us up on our socials, Andy and Mike Mage. We're all over the place. You can hit us up through Bayhope as well. We would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for being here today on this episode of The Weekday. We love you.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Bayhope TV. Be sure to like and share these videos with your friends, as it really does help this channel out. And be sure to subscribe for more Bayhope TV content. As always, thanks for watching.